Hey guys, and welcome back to Gregtech New Horizons. In the last episode, we all made our circuit boards here, which have been building up quite nicely between the episodes. We're going to need lots and lots of these today. We also added some extra EBFs here in order to passive some materials. Still trying to get the rest of these coil blocks. So while we're waiting on the HSSG, I did go out and pick up our miners. Those things have been offline for a few days, which isn't ideal in terms of the efficiency. So I picked the first one up from Phobos and done some mining around the overworld. And we currently got that thing on a pyrolusite vein, mainly due to the fact that it gives us tantalite, which we can electrolyze into tantalum. And this was one of the items that we were missing last episode on our list of things for the assembly line. So yeah, speaking of the assembly line, which is our next big goal of the pack, we are basically just waiting on the blast furnaces at this point for energetic alloy and aluminium. And then it's going to be a whole lot of circuits to craft, 700 to be exact. Well, more than 700, this is just one tier. So yeah, we've got a lot of crafting to do, but I thought actually before we get the assembly line up and running, we do something about our power generation. So we have this PSS that we set up 2 episodes ago. Still haven't filled this thing, by the way. We're only at 9 billion out of 57 billion EU. And I've noticed here that the input number is starting to fluctuate, especially since we have some blast furnaces running now. So these engines are gonna need an upgrade. Alright, so the start of our journey today is gonna take us to the moon. And we're here to collect our oil rig, which I think is still here. Should be right around here somewhere. Aha, you're no longer required here on the moon. Well, it looks like it's actually still working as well. Either way, we no longer need to be collecting salt water here. Hello, creeper. I bet you wish you were on the other side of the glass right now, don't you? You're fine right there, right where you are. So some of you guys may have already guessed what we're going to be doing with this thing, but before we go and place it on this new planet, we are going to upgrade this to, I think, maybe just the tier 3. Honestly, the upgrade doesn't look too bad. Yeah, it just requires some HV components, some titanium frame boxes, and also blue steel, which I didn't account for actually. Blue steel is rose gold, brass, black steel, and steel. Yeah, we're missing rose gold, as I suspected. Rose gold is just gold and copper, very easy to mix. And let me guess, this blue steel is a blast furnace recipe? Yeah, 60 seconds. We should get a really nice overclock on this though. Oh yeah, 3 seconds per ingot, that's nice. Oh, and we get an achievement. You know what, since the tier 2 is so cheap, we may as well actually just look at the tier 3. This is just some extra tungsten steel, some EV circuits, and some EV components. One step at a time though. First the controller for the tier 2. Oh, it's so satisfying just being able to order all the components you need at this point in the game. And I'm assuming, like the ore version, we are going to have to upgrade this solid steel machine casings to tungsten steel. So what is that, an extra 8 casings and 15 of the frame boxes? Yeah, we should be able to manage that with our tungsten steel supply. Ah, there is our tier 3 oil drilling rig. One step closer to the infinite version. We're not going to look at this recipe though, that's way too expensive. One thing I'm glad I noticed here in the overworld is we need to power this with EV, rather than just the HV energy we were providing in our old one, which means we need to use our turbocharged combustion engine. And this has also been significantly nerfed in the most recent patch. This is down to 60% fuel efficiency. But honestly, it's all we've got right now, so we're going to live with it, I guess. And we once again verify and just build this once at our base, just to make sure that things are working properly and we have all the components before we use our rocket fuel. So I guess I should explain what exactly we're going to be doing here. You guys remember the very far off planet that's not even in the same solar system? We are headed back to Ross 128b, and I think we're going to have to do some prospecting around here. We are looking for pockets of lava. We are going to be using lava through a heat exchanger, and we're going to then turn that into fuel, run that through a turbine, and then produce power with that. And it's going to involve a few multi-blocks and some fluid regulation. And from what I understand, there is also risk of explosion as well, so this may get exciting, honestly. Actually, I think we're still in range here. We should go a little bit further out. And by a little bit further, I didn't mean like 5,000 blocks out. Look at all the prospecting I've done around here, and only one of these is lava. Look at all this. I've read so many books. I can't even find the lava source either, but it was tiny. It was absolutely tiny. So it's just not gonna do us. Yeah, it's been like an hour and 40 minutes. I did find this thing though, which is an interesting structure. It has some Gregtech machines in it as well. I guess we take them. Alright, this was getting a little bit crazy, but I can finally report that we have our lava here. And it's not ideal, it's way down at the bottom of the map, and it's only like 10,000 per chunk. Whereas I think the maximum is like 30,000 we can have. But honestly, I'm done searching, and we're almost out of prospecting materials, so... Let's just turn this thing on and hopefully we get some lava in here. Gonna stay here just to make sure that we give this thing enough mining pipe. Ah, we're getting lava, nice. Oh, 32 at a time as well. Interesting. So, okay, so we're gonna send it all through this ender tank, which used to be for salt water, but we're gonna repurpose this for lava. Oh wow, it's actually filled up already. Wow, that is crazy. Alright, let's make sure we chunk load the area. And we're gonna get out of here, because I am so done with Ross. Yeah, 1600 blocks from our landing. Oh look, it's another one of those Gregtech huts here. More free machines, I'll take it. A slicing machine. Alright, we made it back to the base. And I realized here that our AE drives are completely filled up. At some point soon we're going to be making a server room, as it's almost time we upgrade our crafting capabilities and also molecular assemblers. But for now we're just going to stick a couple of 16Ks in here. I wonder how quickly these things will fill up. Yeah, look at that. There's some things probably in some interfaces around the base. I am going to have to take a quick trip back to Ross though, as I forgot to flick the fuel switch. Yeah, we need to enable the output on this ender tank. Alright, that was a slight oversight on my part. I think we're now ready to start crafting all these multi-blocks though. So we are going to need, I believe, 2 large HP steam turbines. Nothing really we haven't made before. We also need 1 large heat exchanger, which is lots of titanium. And I believe also 2 large steam turbines as well, which are really super easy for us at this point. We also need something to put inside the turbines, so we need some turbine rotors, or I guess they're just called turbines. And there is 126 options of turbine materials that we can go for. I think the one we're going to go for is something called Hurricane, and we have almost 5,000 of this dust. The only problem is it's a blast furnace recipe, and it's 115 seconds each, which is crazy. So we get this going early, nice and early. Oh, and one thing I'm glad I noticed here early is that we need to upgrade this freezer. Right now it's only running at EV, so we're going to have to add at least an IV energy hatch onto this thing. And we extend up the platinum cable. Ah, there we go. We are cooking. Nice. Wait, not cooking. Freezing. We're freezing. Alright guys, so I don't think I want to admit how long this took me to set up. But we now have our LAG and quadruple turbine set up here. And all in all, with our engines and also these turbines here, we're producing 6 amps of IV power. It does fluctuate just slightly, but yeah, 6 amps of IV. I did try to go through this step by step, but it didn't end very well, and we ended up with a little bit of a hole in the base here. So that was definitely a backup load. But yeah, I think it's more or less stable now. I've been doing a little bit of testing with this, and our distilled water, which is the most crucial element in this, the distilled water is going up slowly. So from the top here, this large heat exchanger takes our lava that we're pumping from Ross. That has to be inserted in the bottom input hatch, which is an HV hatch. And this also takes distilled water, which we are using an electric pump, into a pipe, and then into the input hatch right here. Those two things combined will give us superheated steam out of these output hatches. And the reason we went to fight the Wither is for these Nether Star fluid pipes, which can transfer tremendous amounts of fluid. So the superheated steam then goes into 2 large HP steam turbines. The top turbine is running the large turbine item, and this turbine will eventually have to replace, but it does last a very, very long time. This is what we run through the blast furnace, the Hurricane. So the top 2 turbines here run the large turbines, and the bottom 2 run just regular turbines. On the input hatch side here, this is actually quite an important step here. So on the input hatch, we have fluid regulators, which will only allow a certain amount of superheated steam in at once. The top one is on 4800, and the bottom one is on 3200 per tick. So once this superheated steam goes through the large turbine, this will output just normal steam, regular steam, which is then transferred at the same transfer rate as these two into the regular turbines, and this will output distilled water, and it is an exact ratio on this, so we actually don't need these distilleries over here. This thing is just some backup. In case we get any maintenance issues, right, and we don't end up getting enough distilled water out of these things. As the thing that causes this to explode is if you add distilled water to an already running LEG, you're going to end up with a hole in the base, so we don't want that. We absolutely don't want that. One other thing that we do get from this is Pahoho lava, and we can centrifuge this for some goodies, but I don't know if it's worth it, honestly. This has to be an EV recipe. I don't know, maybe. It gives us some scheelite and bauxite, which is always nice, but we can get these at way larger quantities if we run the miners. But yeah, that's really about it. It was actually kind of difficult for me to visualize this before I set it up, but now that it's here, it's actually quite easy. It's quite a simple setup. This is also hooked up to our redstone controls, which reads the level on the PSS. You may notice that I also moved the position of our engines. These are just sitting next to each other. These, I think, used to sit opposite. And I've laid out space here for 3 more LEG setups. I don't know if we're going to fill this, to be honest, but there's space here, and I've built it in a way that we can expand this if we need to. Oh, and one other thing, I did actually void the power substation. So I think this was at 10 billion and it's all gone because I broke the controller. Since I had to upgrade the energy hatch here to a 16 amp energy hatch. Before it was only capable of handling 5 amps and we get peaks of 6 amps through here. So very last thing is we have some additional redstone controls on the large heat exchanger. So underneath here I've added a fluid detector cover. This is the input hatch of the distilled water right there. And this will emit a redstone signal if the input hatch is above half full. That is then sent into an AND gate, which also reads the contents of this wireless receiver, which is hooked up to this transmitter right here, which reads the contents of our PSS. So if both of these conditions are true, we have more than half an input hatch worth of distilled water, and our PSS needs power. Then it lets the redstone signal run through here and turns on the large heat exchanger. Oh, look at that, we're already above 1 billion. It took us like half a day to get this before, but I guess we're now producing some more power. Yeah. I was also considering maybe doing a distillation tower instead of all of these single block distilleries, which are running water. But the whole reason we have this is to, just in case we run into maintenance issues, and I didn't want maintenance issues on the distillation tower as well. But yeah, I wanted this power buff to be just a short little project. It ended up turning into like half a day, so this video is probably going to end up late. But I think it's worth it. I'm really happy with the way this turned out, actually. And also, thank you to the guys on Discord who helped me quite a lot with this setup. Moving on then, shall we? Let's try to get this assembly line. Alright, let's just follow the quest here and we'll go down this list one by one. We need 26 solid steel machine casings, 4 input hatches, 10 ULV input buses, 1 HV output bus, a maintenance hatch. Alright, I think that's exhausted all the easy stuff. I think we can get 22 reinforced glass. This is also used in a bunch of other things. I went ahead and made the IV energy hatches while I was crafting some more for the PSS. So that leaves us with the 11 assembling line machine casings. I don't think we can get all 11 at once, but we have all the materials. This is just polyphenylene sulfide. Let's try to do 4 at a time. Yeah, we can craft 4 at a time, no problem. We'll also need the machine controller. We need a recipe for this thing. This goes in the molecular assembler slots, which are quickly filling up, actually. Alright, can we actually just request the controller? No crafting CPUs. Yeah, I was going to put off this project, upgrading the CPUs, but honestly I don't think we can with all the crafting we've got ahead of us. Okay, I've been doing a bunch of applied energistics crafting. I was really surprised we could actually afford 20 of these 16k crafting storages. We're going to keep the CPUs where they are in this little space here, but I think instead we're going to make them 2x2s. We'll also have to give them the crafting coprocessors. You know what, maybe instead of having more CPUs, we just build a bigger CPU since we're going to be doing such large crafts. Yeah, we'll build this guy double the size. Although we're going to need some more coprocessors for this one. I also mentioned last episode that they changed the recipe for the dense smart cable. I think it was changed in the most recent version, which we're now on, but look at this is absolutely crazy. So we need an ingot of conductive iron, 1 glass cable and 1 MV circuit makes 4 smart cable. Oh my goodness, this is painful. This is so painful, 1 circuit for 4 smart cable. But it gets worse from here once we have this. Once you have your smart cable, you need to use energetic alloy, 1 ingot of energetic alloy and an HV circuit to make the dense smart cable. I think we should have some energetic alloy. I did stop the machines over here, which automatically turns it into plates. Our circuit board production, by the way, is up to 1.4k, and I think it was 1500 of these things that we need. So we're more or less there, I would say. Alright, there we go, there's the dense cable. I don't really want to automate because it's been confirmed that it's going to get changed. So I don't really know what we should do about that, but we are going to have to plug these things in. Alright, these should now all be online. We should be able to see these crafting CPUs in our AE system. And now we should be able to request 7 crafts at once. Let's see if we went big enough. Maybe we have to upgrade them some more. We're still short 6 assembling line casings. We're short polyphenylene sulfide. Maybe we should actually increase the buffer on this. Oh no, we can't because this has a storage bus on. Okay, we'll just grab a bunch of it to put in our AE system manually. Look how quickly it crafts. And we'll request the last 6 assembling line casings we need. Very good. Now then, that just leaves us with the most expensive part, the assembling machine casings, which is different to the line casings. These are the ones that take the 6 mainframes each, the ZPM circuits. Alright, this is the big test. Can we request 15 of these things? Still not a big enough crafting CPU, so it looks like we didn't go large enough, but it looks like we have all the materials. Oh man, almost 3000 platinum. Oh my goodness, look at this, 30,000 platinum wire. That is going to take forever. This is probably going to take hours to craft if we were to hit this go button. Yeah, let's actually take note of the bottlenecks when we're currently crafting just 6 of these assembling line casings. It looks like our poor wire mills here is the biggest thing I would probably say. Yeah, the wire mills and probably SMDs, which I think, and small coils, I think this is crafting. Tungsten steel rods are fairly slow as well, but I think this is recipe specific. Okay, what do we do about these wires? We need a solution for the wires, because 30,000 fine platinum wire through a little HV assembly, or HV wire mill right here, ain't gonna cut it. We're gonna be here next week. Yeah, especially with all the graphene in here as well. You know what, before we do that, we have 2 loot bags here. We've got an IV and an AE. Oh, 2 more ender tanks. Oh, nice. That is so good. And some smart cable. And some ME controller. We needed some more of these things. Oh, that is nice. Okay. Some good news. I think some more of these things in IV also give us some more bags, but we'll open those later on. So for the solution for the wires, I was thinking we come back to GT++. I know somewhere in here there is a wire mill. Is it this? No, this is the mixer. This is the extrusion machine. It's not this one. That's the centrifuge. Am I missing? No, there it is, the wire factory. And we can hook this up similar to how we have this processing array, which is doing laser engraving steps, where we can just have multiple interfaces on the input buses. At least I'm assuming you can have multiple on this GT++ one. I didn't look at the recipe for this though. How expensive are we going to be looking at here? Okay, an IV wire mill we should be able to craft. It looks relatively cheap, all things considered, actually. What are these, IV circuits? Yeah, and we need some wire factory casings, which is... Oh, this is just blue steel. Alright, we should be able to get this, no problem then. Yeah, we need, what was it, 4 electric motors? I'm not going to put the recipe in for this wire factory controller. One, because we're out of molecular assembler slots, and that actually reminds me, maybe we can request some more of these things now. Remember, the assemblers take 1 EV assembling machine each, which I still can't wrap my head around. Maybe we can get an extra 2 of these things? Yeah. Alright, let's do that. And the line casings, we're still waiting on this wire. Yeah, literally just waiting on wire. Alright, blue steel. Let's try to get like 400 blue steel. Yeah, sure. It's quick through the blast furnace anyway. So after waiting a while more on the graphene, there's our advanced wire mill. And we can use this... Oh, I didn't craft the circuits yet. Oops. I think this wafer step is also one of the bottlenecks we're going to run into. I think we're still using this LCR over here for that wafer. Oh, we're actually not. Maybe that is inside the clean room. Ah, yeah, here it is. It's this EV chemical reactor we're using right here. This is almost certainly going to need an upgrade, probably to an LCR. In fact, we may as well use that one over there. But we'll do one thing at a time. So I think we're going to run this thing at EV, like the rest of the machines on this line. We have a spare EV energy hatch that we took from our freezer earlier on. And let's see, we want to center this and make sure it's not on a chunk boundary as well. Yeah, we're good right here. I'm also just assuming this is 3x3. Oh, it's actually 3x5. Well, in that case, maybe we move it over here instead. Yeah, if everything goes according to plan here, and this actually forms the way I think it's going to form, then I've put the output bus next to the controller, and this way we can have an item conduit to pull the finished products, which will then go back into an interface right here, and we can extend along the item conduit 1 more block, and then insert this on blue. And the interface is also connected straight onto the input buses, which means that we can put our patterns inside here. And in fact, we can even add some more to these things as well. EV energy hatch is right here, connected to the EV power. I've extended along the IV power from this transformer, which also goes along to power the alloy blast furnace. This power setup will almost definitely be changed, and same with the applied energistics connection. I just didn't want to make a fresh P2P when we already have one here. But more than likely we're going to have a fresh P2P sitting where the transformer is, and we'll hook up this line to that instead. So yeah, hopefully we can just put casings on the rest of these things. Not forgetting about the muffler hatch. Alright, do we have a wire mill? Oh, we do, nice. We're going to need some tape. I should have started using this tape way earlier. It's so much easier than going through all the tools on the maintenance hatch. Alright, in theory this should work. Apparently this is 200% faster than using the single blocks of the same voltage, and only uses 75% of the EU per tick that normally is required. Processes 4 ions per voltage tier. So yeah, this also does parallelization. Man, that's a hard word to say. Let's test it out. Let's put in some patterns here. Let's do like fine copper wire. And we'll order like 100 just to start off with. Okay, are you doing anything? Ah, maybe we have to enable the machine. We'll put a item detector cover. Wow, look how quickly that is. Wow, that is insane. Okay, we're going to enable with redstone, safe mode. And when there is any items in here, then it will stop running. Actually, maybe we should set the threshold a bit higher. Maybe let's put this on 512 or 256. When there's below 256 items, this machine will turn on. Alright, let's see. Did it complete the craft there? It did. Alright, okay. So goodbye HV wire mills. We no longer need any of these patterns in here. We're going to move them all to our advanced wire mill. I don't think it matters which order we have these in, right? As long as it is able to enter an input bus. And it actually doesn't even look that ugly either, compared to some of the other GT++ stuff. Actually looks fairly decent. We need a conduit facade right here. In that time, our line casings have also been completed here, which means we're just left with the controller block and the machine casings. Let's do these things 6 at a time, and see where the bottlenecks shifts us. Oh, look how quick it's doing the platinum wire. Oh, nice. Actually, let's go see this thing in action again. Oh, we need some extract speed on the output bus. Look at this. It's actually throttling itself because it's too fast. You know what? It looks like the same thing is actually happening here on the multi-smelter as well. I just noticed this is actually a problem right here. Yeah, look at all the platinum it's trying to smelt here. Because we keep most of our things as dust and not as ingots. This is almost due an upgrade, actually. You know what though? We're actually never going to find out if the extract speeds are going to work because it's actually trapped behind the wire crafting on this, on the assembly and machine casings. It's waiting on 12 copper wire, but this is ahead of it in the queue, so... In any case though, we're still waiting on 4,000 SMD capacitors and 3,000 transistors, which are all made in the same assembling machine, which is a big problem. This is a really big problem. Yeah, and the nano CPUs here. Wait a second, is Qubits the one with... Oh, okay, we have a bigger problem here. Qubits is the one with molten vanadium gallium. Oh, and loud machines. Let's get mufflers. Yeah, the qubit wafers are made in the cutting machine. I don't think there's much we can do about this. Actually, there is a multi for this as well, unsurprisingly, but we have bigger priorities here. I was thinking that we were actually out of molten vanadium gallium since we were just filling this chemical reactor manually, but that doesn't appear to be the case. It's just the cutting machine speed. So yeah, I guess we do tackle this SMD stuff. One question I do have is it worth to passive SMDs? Obviously we do go through thousands and thousands of these things, but if we look at the recipe for things like the EV circuit, there is actually a second recipe for the quantum computer which does not use SMDs, and instead this uses ASOCs, which I think need an Aquada. Yeah, we're close to being able to get an Aquada, but we're not quite there yet. So putting the materials on passive is an option, but honestly I think we'll just do this on demand still. And I think our solution again is going to be the processing array. We're going to fill these things with assembling machines. Although we will need more than one, right? If we think about the amount of assemblers we have here, we have a lot of assembler patterns here, and there's some that I've actually missed out. In fact, there's many that we don't have automated yet. So we're going to need much more capacity than we have here. And there's also multiple fluids, right? We also, we have things like polyethylene. We'll want one to coat wire. So we'll want one with rubber and silicon rubber. I think we'll probably want one with redstone as well. And polytetrafluoroethylene. And then within all of the fluids, there's also different circuit numbers here. So we have one, in fact, I think we have 3 polyethylene here. Circuits 1, 2, and 3. And there's also circuit 8 for all the machine casings. Oh man, this is going to be a lot. I mean, we can share them up. We don't need that many. We don't need to do one per fluid. I'm not really sure what the best way to split it up actually is. Let's maybe see if we can go for 4. Wow, we can actually just straight up request 4 of these things. Our tungsten steel supply though, for the machine casings, I don't think 44 is going to be enough. Our tungsten steel supply could do with a bit of a top up. So you know what, I think that's going to be a challenge for next episode. Unfortunately we didn't get our assembly line today. We are really close though, we have all the materials, it's just a matter of upgrading our processing capabilities. Also, good news here at the power substation, we're already back up to 8 billion RF. No, EU. I said RF the last time. This is EU. And our distilled water here, the buffer on this is still going up, which is a good sign, this is what we want to see. So yeah, I'm going to work a bit on the processing arrays between episodes, but that's going to do us for today. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all soon for some more Gregtech New Horizons.